Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah.
Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear.
Good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Massenomics podcast. I'm Tyler, joined as always with Tommy.
What's up?
And across the way, Tanner.
Hey.
Like to welcome,
Bring in the enthusiasm.
Hey guys. Like to welcome to the main stage, Rebecca.
And then your favorite corn song starts playing.
Yes, is that how it goes? I've never been in such a sad.
I've just heard things.
Do you guys remember all the way back to when we flew to the Arnold and
Barely.
how the TSA guy called me out? My driver's license was expired.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I finally got around to it's not that I was. I mean, I was purposely avoiding taking care of this issue because I was dreading what
the government taking more of your money.
Yeah, well, I was dreading what it meant. I just didn't even want to find out what I needed to do in order to get this resolved.
Quick backstory for people.
Yeah.
When we went to the Arnold and Tanner was going through airport security, the security guard said, "Hey, sir, your driver's license expired months ago."
Yeah. Which then the next thing in my head is, first is, he's not going to get to go on this fucking plane. Yeah. And then I'm like, fucking Tanner, you're the only one of us who's a responsible adult.
But luckily it was just, and that was of course what I was worried about at first too. But he's just like, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean,
just don't drive a car.
Yeah, he's like,
I can see it. It's just expired.
Yeah.
What's funny is that is allowed by TSA, except one time at the bar here.
Yeah.
Local bar.
Yeah.
I went to the bar. I was 26.
Yeah.
Went to the bar. Actually left one bar. Went to another bar. Made a trip to this bar. And got there. And then this some fat college kid looks at my ID and goes, "Sorry, bro, I can't let you in. This is expired." And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so then I go, well, go get this bartender and this waitress, because they'll tell you at least that just because expired does not mean that I'm not 26.
Yeah.
It just means that
it still shows your birth date.
Yeah. And it only means that I can't drive a car, and that's none of your fucking business.
Right.
And the thing about that was too is I got pulled over that day, and the cop didn't even write anything up. He's like, "Dude, just make sure you take care of it."
Yeah.
But some fucking bouncer all of a sudden wants to make it his thing.
Yeah.
But would it be fair to say there's way more at stake at the bar than on an airplane?
Certainly. So a TSA agent who could have put his finger in your ass for that offense didn't. And that fucking bouncer would have put his finger in my ass had I taken it any further.
So how expired
Mine was fucking 3 weeks or something like that. Yeah.
So you probably, I think.
No, this was a while ago too, because I'm old. But so mine was still far enough out by the time I actually went and took care of it, to where I still had to retake the written test.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So did you have to?
Well, I went in there hoping, I don't even know why I had this thought in my head, but if I was just nice, maybe there's some leeway here, oh yeah, I mean, mistakes happen. We give everyone one, so this is your. But no, the guy's like, no, you'll have to retake the test, and I was like, oh, dang it, I don't even.
Did you ask him if he had a cheat sheet?
Well, I was like, so what is the test? And he's like, oh, it's 25 questions. You have to get at least 80% to pass.
And you're doing math in your head. You're like,
yeah,
it gives me 11 I can get wrong.
No, it's it gives you 5 you can get wrong. And I said, okay, when could I take it? And he said, well, do you want to take it right now? I said, I guess.
Should I study?
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. And but by the way he asked that, I was like, maybe you don't really need to study to be able to pass it. So I went into the room. It's on a computer. I was going through it. I got a couple wrong, and like I said, you could miss up to 5, and I had a couple wrong and maybe about 5 left. So I was like, oh, I don't think I can screw this up. ended up being okay. I got like a 93% or something like that. The DMV is packed, and I'm like jamming things up a little bit because I have to like go in and take a test and come back out, and like one of my piece of mail that you apparently need was like questionable of
for whatever reason.
Meeting some of the weird criteria that they have. But so I had to come out, and the guy just asked me, like, it's on a computer system. I assume it's like kicking back to him, telling him that I passed, but he just goes, "Oh, did you pass?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And this is in front of 12 other people all staring because there's nothing else to do. They all have a number and they're just waiting. So everyone's listening to like the one conversation that goes on in the room, And I said, "Yeah, I did." And then the other guy came. He tells me to go wait in line and they're going to figure something out. Then the other guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, you have a Class 2 license. You have to take the motorcycle test too. And if you want to keep it." I was like, "Well, I have a motorcycle. I would like to keep it, I guess." He's like, "Okay, it's another 25 question test and you have to get at least 80%. And I was like, okay. So I've already been there, 45 minutes at this point. And I go in there and they set it up.
I would have been like, "I'm selling my fucking motorcycle. Get me out of here."
So same way, 25 questions. The most you can get wrong is 5. And I'm starting to go through. I get halfway done, and I've got either 2 or 3 questions wrong. And I'm like, okay, this is getting
a little borderline.
I don't want 3 questions wrong at halfway. Like, just doing the math here, that
puts me in a tight spot.
Yeah. And honest to God, when we talked about this the first time, we talked about it on the podcast. This applies to not the motorcycle one, but the
driving. In the rain.
That was a question, and I got it right because you talked about it on the podcast.
What did we talk? I don't even remember this.
And I never forgot that because I'm always thinking, well, if I take that, I don't want to get that one question wrong. And I was like, I also hope Tyler's right.
So I do not remember talking about. What did we talk about?
When it rains or when it is raining or going to rain, when is the road at its slipperiest?
Isn't it right after it rains?
Yes, that's the answer. And I knew that because we talked about it.
The thing about that is, well, it's because if there's dust and stuff on there, like when it first rains, things become a little greasy. Oh. When it rains a little bit longer, then things are just wet.
Okay.
Yeah. However, we were talking about how that's a word question that like doesn't fucking matter on how you drive. Like if it's raining, you just don't drive like you would drive when it was dry. Like that shouldn't keep you off the road. Like maybe I do know that right now is more slippery than in a minute.
Here's another question. Just an example of what they do here. When you're driving, we live in a place where it snows quite a bit, so this applies to us.
It's snowing again this weekend.
Yeah. Supposedly a foot.
In the middle of April.
And again next week, supposedly.
When you're driving on snowpack, this is how it's worded. When you're driving on snowpack, how much is it appropriate to reduce your speed? By 10 miles per hour? By 20 miles per hour? Cut it in half, or it's not necessary to reduce your speed?
I'd be like, my thing is,
how fast are you going?
I mean, it's like if I'm going 10, if I'm going 20, reducing it by 10, like So B and C.
Yeah. Am I in a school zone where I'm going 15? Because now
am I doing 70? Is that what I would be doing? But now I cut it in half. As needed, motherfucker. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's always like situational for like a person that has some basic comprehension. It's all situational. But the correct answer is, when I didn't know, my thought in my head was always just to go most conservative because maybe it's like they're proving a point. Like, no, not just 10 miles an hour.
Cut it in half, you dumbass.
So on that one, I said cutting in half, and it was 20 or 10. I don't even remember which one now. But
some arbitrary number.
Who made that up?
Yeah.
Like, that is not a fact.
And that's not how the roads work either, is the other thing.
The roads don't give a fuck
so
that it's 20.
That a lot of the questions you do just know, but that was something I noted is some of those questions, like,
they're just gaming you.
Yeah, you're just making those up to make a few hard ones, like that just don't have a logical answer. But the motorcycle one, so you're also allowed to skip questions. So ones that I was kind of unsure of, I'd skip, and then they come back to you at the very end.
So you
had the whammies piling up here.
All right, I got 2 in the tank.
Yeah.
4 questions to go through.
Well, so what happened is I got to 2 questions left, and I had 4 wrong. And these were both questions that
Okay, is it if you get 5 wrong, you're no good, or
if
you
you get
can-
5 wrong, you're okay. You're 80%.
Okay, you can get 5. Okay.
Yeah, so you can get 5 wrong. I had 2 questions left.
What I would have done right now, Tanner. Here's the deal.
So
Okay.
I knew I had to get one of the 2 right.
To really be forged in fire, just fucking guess on the first one.
Just close your eyes and just
be like boom, and then because if you get it wrong, now you know the pressure is on, and this is like free throw line, no time on the clock.
Well,
Let your greatness.
Did you feel like
shine.
the LeBron James of the DMV at
Well,
this moment?
that happened anyways because these are both questions I skipped, and they're both the 2 questions that I skipped maybe like even more than once to put them all the way to the end. So I literally did not know the answers to either their tricky questions
So
like that.
what were they? Let's hear the first one if you can remember.
I can't.
Is it legal for us to
be?
be sharing DMV tests?
Well, we're gonna
information on
sell this
internet?
podcast is a premium podcast.
Oh,
The,
yeah. If you're listening to this, you
I
spend
cannot
a lot of
remember
money.
the second to last one, but I can remember the last question.
Okay, so second to last one, did you get it right or wrong?
I got it wrong.
Okay, so
then
it's
I had
down to the
5
line.
wrong and 1 question left. So, and in my head, as I'm getting close to this, what I'm thinking is, I don't care if I fail this because it's not gonna. I assume I just pay another $12 or something and take it again.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go out there in front of
like-
15 people and the guy asks, "Well, did you pass?" and be like, "No."
There's
Oh no! The answer is yes. You see if there's a process to that.
Well, that's
Totally.
true. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so at this point, an audience has gathered.
Yeah, so I'm worried about
You
having
don't
to
want
like.
to get caught in that either. Like you fucking liar.
But I don't want the humiliation of walking out and everyone being like, "Oh my god, I didn't pass."
I just assume they publicly
15-year-old
ridicule you
Yeah.
at that point.
So the last question on the
They like
motorcycle
take your
test,
picture still. Yeah. Hang it up.
it's like
Couldn't
got
pass.
78%. This is on the motorcycle test, and it was if your motorcycle is equipped with ABS brakes. Let me see, how is that worded? How do you apply the brakes?
Lock them up.
And the
I would
questions
assume that
are
too.
like either lock up. There's 4 answers, you know.
Yeah.
So one is
Gradual.
one is apply
pump
gradual. Yeah, and
lock
like
'em
one is
up.
like just apply to the rear brake or just lock the front brake and something like that.
And then there's one that's certainly no, where it's like, don't use your brakes.
yeah.
Coast, just
Most
coast.
of them there was like that where there's one like, no, that's not it. But it is locking them both up. But and I got it right and I
Yeah.
passed, so it was okay. But I kind of knew that that's what they're asking because if they wouldn't ask,
wouldn't mention-
say anti-lock brakes.
Yeah.
But the question was just when applying brakes. I mean, if I'm on a motorcycle that
And
has
it's not
anti-lock,
slippery.
right?
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
not
not
an
in an
emergency.
Oh, yeah, an emergency
like, it
situation.
wasn't in an emergency or like
Yeah.
this car pulls in front of you. You have 10 feet to stop. How do you brake? It's
Just lay it the fuck down.
Well,
Does
so I'm like,
your motorcycle have anti-lock brakes?
mine does not.
So you don't really know for
That's
sure.
true.
Then you've never tried it.
But in my head, I'm thinking if I'm just applying the brakes, just
you're
go
telling
to the
me
grocery store, pulling in.
you're
you
telling
gotta
me
come
when
to
you're telling me when you pull into your parking spot at work with your car, you don't lock them up daily.
Well, that's what I mean. It would be the same in your car, like just smash on them because they won't lock up. Like,
Might still not.
We have to
match your
prove a
face.
point here.
yeah. But so I battled that in my mind for a minute or two, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, they wouldn't say
Like a total trick
yeah,
question.
Yeah. So and I passed, and now I'm a licensed driver again.
You're a legal driver.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we're pretty
The
proud
guy
of you.
said, "See you in 5 years" when I left, and I said, "Yeah, hopefully not 5 years and 3 months this time."
They should do a better job of like they could send you a fucking email.
I
Because
don't know
or-
if they ever did
or
send
we
me
could-
something.
Well,
I don't know
because
if
here's
they
the
did.
truth
I don't
of
think
the
they do,
matter
though.
is your driver's license is not for you to look at.
I hadn't looked at. I mean, I knew my birthday was coming up, but
I don't know what year it is.
I didn't
like,
know.
But also,
Like,
isn't it kind of weird that our licenses are only for 5 years?
have
Like,
you
I'm
se-
pretty
the,
sure.
The
I think,
weird thing is on the other end of it is the ones in Arizona.
yes, Arizona.
It's like 20 years.
I was gonna say
15 years.
I was gonna say even closer to 40. I
It
thought
might
for some
be.
reason.
Like I have a buddy that
And-
got one at his 21st birthday, and I think it might be good till he's like in his 50s. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, that picture's no fucking good.
yeah.
Like, what's the point?
I also
At
believe.
that point, you can just have anyone's ID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Like,
It's
this
just
is
like,
me when I'm 25, now I'm
I
55.
just got old and white now.
I've heard you can go online there because and this is again just what someone told me, but I heard you can go online there and just order multiple IDs. So it's like, oh, I want 3 or 4 IDs. You can just order 3 or 4. And
Get you
they'll
one
send
with your new face?
Send you 3 or 4. No, like if I'm ordering my ID, I can request, I would like 3 of those printed.
Oh, then
Like,
you just
and they'll do that for
give
you.
them to some underage kids.
No, I did. As I was browsing in the DMV, I noticed there was a sign that said, "You're not supposed to do that," and then I was like, "I guess you're not."
Huh. Well, now I know. When I was in college age, like right after I graduated high school, some guy had like partied at this house that I partied at when I was in high school, and left his ID. His ID just left. Was like it just fell out, and he turned 21, like right before he lost his ID, and he didn't look much like me, except
He was a
especially in
man?
the height. Except that he was a man, had blonde hair, blue eyes, and in the picture had a shaved head, like mine. And so, like, that's really all you need.
Yeah.
Except it said, like, fucking 5'11" for the height. But for the most part, they're not really looking at it. And I can just say my excuse was always going to be, they didn't change the height from the time before. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? The height,
Yeah.
I left it from when I was in, 18.
Right.
And so but that ID, I used that fucker straight through till I was 20. But I could never use it here because people just knew that I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
And they knew that guy.
Yeah.
But I could use it when I was in college all the time. So I had this pretty sweet setup where on a Monday night, if you're going to college, like it's your best interest to maybe go to class the next day. But if you don't have class, it's not uncommon for like college kids. There might be a handful of kids in the dorms be like, we're going to get fucking housed tonight.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, Tyler's got a fake ID.
Yeah.
So that's what I do on Monday. And then on Tuesday, the people that were making a Tuesday night out of it, like, well, Tyler's got a fake ID. So I just had an awesome time.
Yeah.
For like one semester. Didn't go to any class. It was all because of that gentleman's fake ID. It was
Yeah.
great. Made lots of lifelong friends.
When I won't get into the specifics of how I came about it because I don't want to. What would that be called if you're like self-incriminating yourself?
Tanner murdered a person and stole his wallet.
But
The statute of limitations might still be in effect.
when I was either 19 or 20, I think it was 19 even, I came into an ID, a driver's license that, an ID card is what it actually ended up being, with my picture on it from the DMV with somebody else's birth date, and the only thing of it on it was my
your
picture, and the rest was
Someone else's information.
Somebody else's information.
That's tremendous.
Yes, and and
That's
actually,
a really good.
And one time I lost it, and I managed to do
get
it all
it
over again. Because I was like, oh, I'm really dependent on this. And at that point, like, I'm gonna have to do what was done and
You're
go
like,
over
I've
again.
been taking out loans.
But
racked
and
up
it
a lot
was
of
not
credit
like
card
a doctoring of an identification. It was a printed from the DMV.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yes. I mean, it was bullet. Well, I mean, it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Ironclad,
could be
you
like,
to anybody.
look at it. I mean,
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah.
I don't have.
I mean, I don't
never
have a
had
need
that.
for that, and I wouldn't mind having one.
But they have done things differently between the process as it was then and now that it would not. I don't think it could be done as far as I know. But
We're gonna have to come
Well,
up with
there's a
something
little
different.
not
to do
super
next
There's
year.
the
needed,
little
of course.
hologram thing in them now. You know, it's
no,
all-
but that was on.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
was. It
whatever
was the
they
ID.
print, it was whatever.
Okay.
I mean, I got it from that's where it came from. They handed it to me, so
It was all on the up and up, except for the fact that it existed.
But if anyone is listening to this that wouldn't
This is
like it,
this whole thing is
this is a
satire.
made-up
We
story.
made it all up. Tanner actually hasn't even had the whole DMV.
We've just
thing
been
before this.
fantasizing for the last 20 minutes about what it would be like if Tanner went to the D. None of this
Yeah.
is real. It's
Yeah.
it's all fake.
They're gonna next time you go in 5 years and 3 months.
They're gonna
What
be
you
like,
said.
we've been waiting for you.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, go in there and take your test again, and they're gonna be waiting for you with cuffs.
Like, We heard what
No,
you said
first they're gonna make you take the
of
test.
Massenomics
They're gonna make you
podcast.
take the test, and every answer is gonna pop up as wrong. And when you come out, they're gonna be like, "Hey, did you pass?" And you're gonna have to say in front of a huge group of people,
No.
And then they're going to
What
arrest
percent
you.
did you get?
They're going to arrest you for fraud in front of everybody, but everyone's going to think it's because you're so dumb you failed your test.
To be like, we're cuffing you.
Well, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, I better get a study book out.
So that's some stuff.
Well, speaking of some stuff, sweet transition.
"The real stuff."
The real stuff. We mentioned last week, even though we didn't remember what it was, that we made a podcast list here.
Like,
No,
we didn't
we didn't-
One
make
that
it.
we didn't. Oh,
We
yeah,
didn't make it.
We were
To specify-
on a podcast list
That we did not
that
create
we did not
ourselves.
create, which is usually the only way we get on any lists.
Yeah.
We have made it on quite a few that way, though.
Yeah, well, that's the way you do it. Listen, here's the deal, guys. If you want to be touted as the strongest man in the world, write lists that say put you at the top of that list, and just make that article on a
Yeah,
website.
you're gonna have to assume someone's gonna do
Someone's
the
gonna
work
see
to
it,
disprove that, which is probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's on them at that point.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
That happens. Every list that's ever been made.
Every list that's ever been made, people argue about.
Yeah.
So we have what pods. Don't know what that is, but since we're on the list,
I
I'm
like
just
it.
assuming that they're really legitimate organization.
I really don't know. I looked at it just very so slightly, and I'm not sure exactly what they are.
I'm not either. I think they make lists.
Yeah.
So yes, it said looking for
podcasts,
the title is looking for the ultimate bodybuilding podcast. We found the top 29.
Weird number.
It is a strange number considering there are many that are not on this list. We, however, are on this list.
Do you think they're in order?
No, I figured we'd be more closer to the top, but what
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
So let's just go number 19. Well, first off, the Strength Athlete podcast is number 20. Number 19 is Strong Talk with Cale Beck, friend of the podcast.
I listened to both of those,
Yep.
not religiously, but
And then number
Casually.
18 just happens to be Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast.
ooh, I've heard of that.
I've heard that. Those
What do
guys
they say about
those
us?
guys seem handsome. If you're looking for a lighthearted and engaging bodybuilding podcast that still serves huge amounts of knowledge on the topics of lifting, nutrition, and performance optimization, check out the World's Strongest Podcast by Massenomics. Comes in at number 18 as top bodybuilding podcast. Heard this podcast before? Leave it a review.
What do you guys think is more true, the bodybuilding part or the performance optimization
I think
part?
we're barely a podcast.
What? Or the podcast part?
What?
What? How did they find? Like, we're not on any fucking lists as far as like downloads. Like, we're not
Yeah.
on iTunes
Well,
in any category near the top.
I'll tell you my one theory
Do you
is
think
that
they Googled it and found our list that we made?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have a list of top 10 strength training podcasts. Every one of 10 podcasts, ourselves included on that list, they're all on here except for 2 of them.
That don't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they found ours,
Just
did a little bit of home.
Yeah.
They said, okay, this one's not, they found TIFPL and said this one isn't really a podcast anymore.
Yeah.
And they knocked them off. And I don't know where they came up with the other 21, but I don't think it's coincidental that, and they're,
Would you
they're
say the
they're-
order
they're
is-
in, like, 17, 18, 19, 20 are all on our list, like
In that
that's on our
order?
list.
Yeah.
So we made their list because we made a list and put ourselves on it.
It's
is
kind of
my
like
theory.
getting nominated for a Grammy when you just wrote an article listing top 5 potential Grammy nominees, and then we got to nominate. This guy.
Yeah, it's like it's in this article that
article's
we were
got
kind of
legs.
trying to plagiarize, or paraphrase, or
We
Yeah,
added
kinda
more.
the same,
they
yeah.
added more to it.
yeah,
So.
yeah, that's true.
There is, yeah. So coming in right ahead of us is Strength Chat by Kabuki Strength. They've accomplished just slightly more in the world of strength than we have.
Yep.
Slightly is the key.
Have you ever listened? Either you guys ever listened?
I
to
actually
our
have
podcast?
never listened to that one.
Number 15 is actually like one of my favorite podcasts is Power Athlete Radio. And then number 14 is actually probably my new favorite podcast that I've been listening to like religiously lately.
What's
is that Muscle Expert podcast with Ben Pekulski.
Oh, yeah.
He's the dude from you recognize him from the first generation Iron movie. He was the one who was like had like all the sciencey doctors and stuff with him. But no, he's that is a pod like both of those, the Power Athlete Radio and the Muscle Expert podcast, for two very different reasons, are ones that I highly recommend people listen to.
What's the Power Athlete Radio?
So Power Athlete, it's like John Wellborn and a few other guys on like the Power Athlete like team. They do like strength certifications, and it's really like strength and conditioning. So a lot of it is geared towards like strength for performance, not just powerlifting, but for like on the field performance, for sports performance. So it's really good shit for like a strength and conditioning coach, but it's like it's no bullshit like fucking like just don't be a pussy, be strong, it's all the shit that makes sense, no nonsense. Like it's really, really good, and I like it a lot. The Muscle Expert podcast is just like a really science-based deal. I actually showed that to Professor Sean's, and like he texted me back the next day. He was like, he had listened to 2 episodes. He's like, those are the best 2 fucking podcast episodes I've ever heard. Like, it's just really good information. He's having like 2 or 3 guests a week on there, and they're like legit guests. I don't know how that's sustainable, but it's fucking really good. That podcast is really good. And apparently only, 3 spots ahead of ours.
Just barely. But do they have just endless amounts of charisma?
Not as much as me. I'll be honest.
Exactly.
Not really. Never heard of that one. Jug Life came in at number 11.
I like the Jug Life. Have you guys listened to Beers with Chad?
Yeah,
I've listened to a couple of them. I do enjoy those.
Basically just Chad.
Just Chad sitting there.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, you could basically that could just be the Jug Life. I mean,
it could easily be.
you can just, I don't know why they'd even categorize it differently.
No.
Like, I mean, about half.
I mean, he takes
about
like
half
2
of,
sips of beer in
well,
the
yeah,
episode.
like half
he
of our
mentions the IPA that he's drinking. At
like
the
half of
beginning,
our episodes could just be called Tyler drinking 7 beers while Tanner and Tommy don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Number 10, with odd selection, is the Tim Ferriss Show.
Really good bodybuilding podcast.
I mean, I like
even
Tim
a better
Ferriss.
bodybuilding podcast than ours.
I do like Tim Ferriss, and I do like his podcast, but I don't listen to it with all the time because of the guests. Like some of the guests are not entertaining, so I just find a guest I like and I'll listen to it. But Iron Radio comes in at number 8.
I like Iron Radio.
Never heard of that one. Ben Greenfield Fitness Diet. I have heard of that one. Wadcast Podcast. Scott McGee, Arm & Hammer, friends of the podcast. Mark Bell's Powercast in at number 4.
Doesn't exist
Anymore.
Technically.
Get rid of it.
Bulletproof Radio, which is fucking Dave Asprey, who, in my opinion, is a fucking crook.
I don't even know who that is.
Ugh, he's the Bulletproof Coffee guy, and like
okay.
has a bunch of like made up fake science on like why you got to buy his coffee and shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking nonsense. Number 2 is Barbell Shrugged. Number 1 is Mind Pump Raw Fitness Truth, which I've never heard of.
I don't know it either.
But I'm going to read the review of it. They came in at number 1, so we'll give them a little credit here. Mind Pump is one of the longest running and most listened to shows in the bodybuilding genre, with over 650 episodes dating back to the show's release. There's no secret as to why the show has enjoyed the longevity and success it has. Trio Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews are incredibly engaging and informative hosts. They didn't say that about us.
It's true, probably because they never listened to an episode.
Yeah, that's probably true. Whether you're a serious bodybuilder or a casual lifter, you'll love the avalanche of advice and good listening vibes coming from the Mind Pump podcast. It even said it said Mind Pump contest.
Do you think that we've never heard of that because it is really is a bodybuilding podcast?
Maybe.
We just don't know?
Or did they write the article and that's why we
Oh,
didn't hear of it?
That could be.
yeah, maybe they're what pods. What were some of the 20-plussers? Did we about?
Let's get back to the 20-plussers. The ones who we outranked.
Yeah.
So we outranked.
So many.
Heavy Muscle Radio. I don't even know who that is. Dave Palumbo.
Never heard of her.
No.
Bodybuilding Nerds Radio. Advices Radio.
Nice name.
I don't know about that. Physique Science Radio. That's Lane Norton's podcast.
I was gonna say I thought that logo looked familiar.
Yeah.
That, okay.
3D Muscle Journey Podcast.
3D. What are the names of the people in that? Is that
Donnie, Denny, and
It doesn't say, but I'm
Okay.
gonna go with Dennis, DeMarcus,
Dick?
and Dick. Dick. Dick is short for Dick. 24 corporate warrior, health, business, and time optimization.
would you consider yourself a corporate warrior, Tanner?
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, you're sitting across the table from two wildly successful, self-employed,
Warriors.
multi-thousandaires.
Yeah.
Tanner
we
makes.
are not
I'm
corporate
pretty sure
warriors.
Tanner makes way more money than both of us working
been-
for the man.
I've been a guest on the Corporate Warrior podcast a few times. So
Just
whatever that one
being
was.
a bodybuilding.com podcast.
They have a
did not
podcast,
know was
really.
a thing.
I bet it sucks.
I'm gonna guess it probably does. Nick
My
Collins
opinion
and
is it
Chris
probably
Like
Kendall.
it wouldn't need to, but it
Yeah.
probably does.
That's just my
It
opinion.
wouldn't have to suck. They would have money behind them.
Yeah.
22 is Joe DeFranco's Industrial Strength Show. Joe
I do
DeFranco's
know
the
that
real
guy.
deal.
Yeah.
Number 21, Ice Cream 4 PRs with the number 4. Don't know what that is. It's been on a hiatus.
So they quit.
Yep. Strength athlete. Yeah. Kale Beck and then us.
Have you guys? Mark Bell's Powercast was on there, which is now what's it called?
the Power Project?
Have you guys listened to that?
I
at
did
all?
listen to I listened to one of the more recent ones because I thought there was a guest that I
So I have not
wanted
listened to
to
one
hear.
yet.
I'd listened to the Ben Pekulski on there, that one.
Is it any different than the Powercast?
Yeah.
Yes and no, other than that they have like other dudes on it.
Yeah. Like
But it's
I,
still-
It's
I
also
liked
like-
it better when it was the Powercast, just to give.
Yeah.
So now it's just
Well, like
Mark
Smokey
Bell
and
firing off
Smokey
Smokey and
questions
them
or-
were on it, and which is all
It's like
fine.
it's
but
like it's more like everyone in the room. It's almost more like
it's a live. And they're
yeah,
trying to do them
yeah.
live on like YouTube. So like, it really is just like they just turn the cameras on.
Yeah.
Kind of hang out. And now that maybe they're ironing some shit out. But I know the most recent one that came out last week was just like
just
they were like
be it.
noticeably killing time.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's happening?
Which like we do that.
Yeah.
but it's not noticeable.
But we don't have any fucking money from it either. So like
Right.
we get what we deserve for killing time for an hour.
Uh-huh.
I do think however, the one guest that I listened to on there was Ben Pekulski's. That one was pretty good. I think if you get the right guest, it'll be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an interesting guest, but I think that's the only one that I listen to. Just super tired of anything keto. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for all that to go away.
God,
Because
that's
I just
all
don't
he talks
care.
about.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
keto
Is this
people.
a diet? Like,
keto-
are you a diet channel?
Keto people are just as bad as like people who are really new to CrossFit. You know, where it's
That's
just
what I
like
was gonna
it's
say.
all we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
And they have to find like a solution for everything that is filtered through the window of keto.
But that's
like,
kind of like the beauty of keto is it's supposed to be really simple, but it's like, how are you talking about it for
Forever.
You probably have 100 hours of audio talking about
which
it.
you don't eat carbs. I get it. Well, like okay, like, and you don't eat any.
Here's the whole thing. You don't eat carbs. Like there, it's done. Like
That's it. So like that's the end of it. And be like, yeah, I don't hate it. It works okay for me. You could maybe give me 60 minutes.
like there are some very small subtleties in there, but you want 99% of the effects. Don't eat carbs.
Just don't eat any carbs, and you're probably fine.
Oh. So that's
The
it,
keto
huh?
episode.
Yeah, we could call this episode "The Secret to Keto." Like they listen to the first 30 minutes, they're like,
All right.
what is this about keto?" And then
But I think, that's my thing. Is I don't know. It gets
After years,
no
of
matter
being in the
what it
trenches,
is, it comes.
we
up.
have a secret.
Well, no matter what it is, it just comes back to it. You know.
yeah, it is. It is.
Like, hey, it's really easy to pig out on ice cream, but as a man, I like to eat meat, and it's tough to just get fat eating only meat. The keto diet. He's literally said that soundbite so many times. Like,
Yeah. Jim McDee's podcast? We talked about it a little bit, like when we first,
Yeah.
when we broke the story to the world.
Basically, I mean, we're the ones.
Yeah.
I like to consider us the Dateline NBC of the strength world.
It was like a 60 Minutes episode, really.
Yeah. Which I don't know if I like comparing us to those boring shows.
Yeah, that's true. not handcuffed by the fucking
Overproduced and
traditional
boring.
media.
60 minutes with the clock. Yeah, like ugh.
We are a little overproduced.
Oh, who are all these skeletons talking to me?
Who let all these old people on television? I thought
back
you
in
had
the
to
nursing
be
home.
pretty to be on TV.
They don't know what a TV is.
No, but what's his podcast called? Less Than Obvious podcast. So did we all listen to the same episode on the
Yeah.
Arnold flight? And
Yeah,
that
listen
was
to the Matt
what's his
Reynolds.
name? Yes,
That was
Great
really
episode.
that was a really
Great.
good podcast.
I would highly recommend if you're gonna
Yep.
check out Less Than Obvious podcast, check out that episode.
That's a good one,
And-
especially because that podcast is not exclusively going to be strength sport stuff.
Right.
So if you want a nice transition into maybe what that podcast is going to be like,
But
but
still
still
kind of
on
about
some
strength
familiar
sports.
ground.
Yeah.
And it's like produced nicely.
Really
and they are
nicely.
And it's not
not killing
over-
time in any way.
No,
They're
no.
literally having actual conversations about what happened, what went down.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when I say produced nicely, that one episode they recorded in a noisy bar, it's not as bad as it sounds. Like
No.
right away you might think
You're
it's
like,
bad.
you're like, ooh, I don't know. But once it gets rolling, it's fine. Then what I like is that Jim interjects from time to time, just
Yeah.
in post production.
I think those are cool.
Not even a big. We say it's very well produced. That's sort of the only thing.
Yeah.
But
Well,
like-
and there is like little music bits and stuff. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
like
But really, it just like drops in, and he's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, next we asked him about this and this, and I was curious of this, and then when he said this, it was a surprise.
Yeah.
So check out here when we talk, and then boom, and you're like, oh, thanks, Jim.
Thanks for that lead
I
in.
agree. That is
Well, because
what
it
I
also
felt like.
my thoughts on that is the way that's set up is it almost treats it a little more like a documentary.
It's like Serial.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what it
when it
reminds
cuts,
me of, like,
it kind of
yeah.
cuts away, lets
Yeah.
the narrator come in, bring you up to speed.
And what
instead of
happens
listening to-
sometimes
Yeah.
when you have just a podcast in your ear is you do tune out.
Yeah.
And you're just hearing a thing and it's droning on and you may be dozing off or fucking looking at something else on your phone while you're listening to it.
I would not ever do that.
do such a
I
thing.
only look at the screen on the fucking podcast, the cover
Brightness
image,
up all the way.
all the cover image. But and then so what it's nice is he pops in and so you know what to expect in the upcoming couple of minutes, and you can be like, oh well, that's not that interesting to me. I can go
Yeah.
back to not paying attention, or you're like, oh, I would like to hear that. So I like that setup is really cool. We're gonna start doing it every once in a while. I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna cut it.
This
in.
part,
I'm gonna be like,
Tommy and Tana
I'm gonna be like, so
they have small wieners.
here's what happened.
Yeah, we get a
Up
little
next.
a song going.
Up next, I told Tanner he had a little wiener.
You guys didn't see this part on camera.
Tanner
but
disagreed. We'll tune in. We'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, why don't we hop in the middle of this conversation?
he does his episode. I think it came out this week. I haven't listened to it yet. Is with the guy that produced West Side versus the World. So I'm excited to listen to that. I think they're talking
Yeah, that'd
about
be a
what it
good
was
one.
like going into that. And
Are we getting our screener for
yeah,
that?
we
that's-
are
that's
due
what-
for a screener copy.
That's what he got a hold of us. I can't remember his name, but the guy that produced West Side versus the World, and he said he is going to be sending the Massenomics crew a screener copy of West Side versus the World, so we'll be able to watch it early and do a
rave review.
Yeah,
and-
and probably a full episode podcast review, basically spoiling the whole movie before most of you get to watch it.
well, we can do a
And
no
we-
spoiler review and then a spoiler.
and
review.
maybe we'll just live stream it on Instagram the whole time.
Be like, is this what you wanted for us to do with this?
Be like, those guys are really unprofessional.
Also, just send Tyler an email and he will email you the entire movie file.
Yeah.
For $20.
We're not gonna do that. We totally will not do any of that stuff if you send us the movie.
Yeah.
But we will help you promote it.
Yes.
If it's awesome. If it's
Yeah.
trash, ain't having it.
And who was the guy that got to be the narrator? Or is it Ron Perlman? Didn't they get him? He's helping.
Yeah,
right?
from
Yeah.
the motorcycle show.
yeah, Sons of Anarchy and
Yeah.
From that motorcycle show that I don't watch. Do you guys watch that show?
I used to, but that's
That's why Tanner bought his motorcycle. I got a motorcycle license because of Sons of Anarchy.
because of Jax Teller.
I watched a
that is.
season of that show and then I was like, after watching Breaking Bad, like this is hard to watch. It was.
Oh, it's not as good. As
They're like
I
they
mean,
literally
it's
like running around, pop, 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 pop,
Yeah,
like shooting
it's-
people. I'm like,
I don't necessarily even I mean, there's got to be so many seasons, and I think I quit watching it after a few seasons. I was like, not interested.
Heads
anymore.
up too, the Andre the Giant documentary just dropped on HBO.
I didn't know there was one.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch that shit tonight.
Did you guys ever
Get
watch?
the fuck out of my house.
It just came out. You said
Just came out like
Oh,
today. Yeah,
I gotta watch that.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
on
guys
HBO Go.
ever watch the Defiant ones on HBO?
I did not. Is that
What's
the one
that?
with like
The Dr. Dre,
Oh.
Jimmy Ione. What's that his name? I'm probably messing that up.
I don't think that's
Snoop
but-
Dogg.
Yeah, his name is Snoop Dogg. Tommy. Duh.
I'm messing. Whatever his name is, I
Yeah.
can't even remember now. But
You're
that
thinking
one,
of Snoop Football League on
that's
Netflix.
what it was. Yeah,
I
yeah.
have watched that.
I have heard Defiant one. I heard it's really good.
It is
too.
really, really good. Like if.
I want some of that Dr. Dre selling Beats headphones money.
Yeah, like they kind of bring you. I mean, they take you from basically Dr. Dre being a kid, like going through everything, and this. I gotta look up his name. It's driving me nuts that I can't remember.
Is
who
it Jimmy
is.
Iovine?
Iovine, I think that's
Yeah.
it. And just his like time being a record producer, and then somehow he meets up with Dr. Dre, and they start Interscope Records, and like how he basically just said, "I'll just give people money to do whatever," and that's when like Marilyn Manson came around and Trent Reznor and at the same-
Interscope, like Limp Bizkit was on
like
that
Limp
label.
Bizkit, like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. They're like, we were just kind of like fueling the revolution, is what they felt like. And it was the same thing. Like Tupac got locked up, and they're like, we knew the day Tupac was coming out, and the day he was coming out, we had like $2 million sitting waiting to make the California Love music video. And they're like, we literally picked him up from the airport, flew to the desert, made that music video, and it was like a hit
right
immediately.
immediately. Yeah. So it's like, damn. these
Was
people
there
are really
ever a
living the
point
life.
where the mother effers forgot about Dre though? And
You know,
It's actually been the hardest part of watching my relatives go through their Alzheimer's, is
forgetting about Dre.
watching them forget about Dre. Alzheimer's ain't no joke. It's a real problem. Neither is forgetting
It is
about
right
Dre.
now, but it's part of one. Right
Motherfuckers
now.
act like they forgot about Dre. That's a shame that. Was that Detox album supposed to come out, by the way? And then he dropped the fucking Compton album like right around the same time as the NWA thing.
yeah.
And so I'm like, was that it? Because that wasn't. There was like 3 songs on that were good.
Yeah.
We waited 20 years for this.
Yeah, they kind of talk about that a little bit too. And honestly, I don't even really remember how it ends after the $1 billion
just
deal
worth
with
it not-
Beats. It all just kind of is like, oh yeah, none of this really matters because they made more
So
money
much
than
money.
anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I sold anything for $1 billion, I'd stop doing.
And
all
who
of
bought
the things.
Beats?
Hewlett
Apple.
Packard.
No, Apple bought it from.
Hewlett Packard purchased it originally, and then I think then it was sold to Apple.
So is it still marketed as Beats now?
You know, so
Yeah,
I'm not
like
an Apple
the-
Music or a Beats user, but I think
The headphone, like the hardware is
yeah.
all.
But
is all-
did they get because Beats was set up as a subscription service? I think.
Yes.
of
yeah.
what?
Like
It's
like
music.
Spotify or
Oh,
whatever.
Spotify, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit,
And I
I
think
thought
it-
they were
and then I think
headphones.
Apple
I
bought
thought
that.
they were really expensive headphones, and that was it.
No, they had the
well,
music
it was. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing was just a brand of overpriced headphones.
Yeah.
It's basically headphones of like
Moderate
$60
quality.
to $80 quality, sold for $200 to $300.
Yeah.
And then, but the brand it was Dr. Dre. I mean,
It was the marketing, like they
all
talk
the
about that too,
marketing.
how they
Yeah.
were sending them to every athlete they could, every Olympian they could, like
Yeah. Make sure
anyone,
LeBron James is
anyone
wearing
that
them,
was
so
like
that-
noteworthy
Yeah,
was
just
getting
made
their
them cool.
headphones.
Yeah.
yeah. And like that's.
I
what's
mean, who
always-
would ever take a marketing approach like that?
Dicks.
Yeah.
Sending stuff to people they think would wear it.
Yeah, who in the world? And then trying to
Dumbest-
sell them for some sort of premium price.
Dumbest idea ever.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I think we get LeBron James in a lift shirt
No.
because he doesn't lift.
I mean, the most natural fit would be Gronk.
Yeah,
Gronk needs
I still think
Gronk
it would.
needs
By
a
the way,
shirt.
did you see the new Gronk thing? Like, I think it was like today or yesterday.
Is it the Gronk spike where he takes it
No.
and goes like,
Yeah, he just.
Oh, I did just hear about this. Tanner.
Tell me more about said Gronk spike. No, so Gronk one isn't sure if he's even going to come back to the NFL this next year because he's always hurt. And then he, Bill Belichick, basically like in front of the whole team, like admonished and shamed and ridiculed Gronk for going to Tom Brady's fucking witch doctor, the TB12 guy. So like.
As any normal person should.
Because Belichick's like, listen, basically Tom Brady and then Julian Edelman went to the guy, and it's like his whole thing is like, stop eating meat, eat this and that, eat fucking magic powder for $14 a fucking ounce, and then just we went through the whole thing in the previous episode of the TB12 method.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's fucking trash, and the whole thing is to basically just make you get really small. And he's like, and Belichick's like, I don't want my fucking biggest, strongest fucking
best,
tight
strongest
end
tight end in
in
the
the
NFL.
NFL
Show up at a lead
going to
220.
some guy
Yeah.
who wants to drop him down to fucking
Yeah.
just like quit eating
Like,
meat, Gronk.
no, we kind of want you to be like
An athlete,
what you're
Gronkowski.
like, you know?
I want you to be Gronkowski, not Tom Brady at tight
Yeah.
end. That's the thing. Is like Tom Brady. The TV we're great for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Put Tom Brady
As
at
a
tight
lead
end,
blocker.
That's not fucking gonna work. You know, put Tom. No, whatever amount of wonderful fucking athleticism that Tom Brady got from this thing and all the longevity does not exist in any other position other than the most protected position in sport other than golfing.
Yeah.
And like, it's fucking, anyway, it's so stupid. Anyway, but Belichick, like, there was this whole article on how he was like, just basically made fun of Gronkowski in front of the whole team. It was like, don't ever fucking do that shit. Like, and
I can picture that too.
yeah, and they said the other thing was that like, the longer a player, the way Belichick is, he's like, the longer a player doesn't commit to coming back next year, like Belichick immediately warms up every hour, warms up to the idea of them not coming back.
Yeah.
To where like even if he comes back, like might just trade your ass.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck.
Well, I mean, he's had a
You
history of doing
think,
it.
Yeah, it's like make me think about you not being here. I could get used to that idea pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Peace out. Take Tom Brady's fucking witch doctor with you.
Well, I always think if Tom Brady, like the second Tom Brady starts to show some real like signs of,
Slowing down.
yeah,
Oh, they'll deal him.
Yeah, they wouldn't think like
Belichick doesn't give a
no,
fuck.
like I don't think they'd think twice about
I
it.
think the problem would be with ownership at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
because
and
this is like our golden.
I
boy.
have to assume they'd work something out for everyone in
What they're
mind to
gonna
go out
say
gracefully
is
and
Tom,
you know,
you're done.
yeah, right. Like that's what I
Or
you know,
you're
the
going to
hope
go
would
out
be,
on the
but-
bench. You can choose.
Yeah.
The other thing is, there was some more stuff that came out about that doctor, who actually isn't a real doctor. He actually got sued at some point for falsely claiming to be a doctor. Was selling basically a magic plant pill, like a green supplement pill, that he was specifically claiming that in a study that they did of 200 people who were terminally ill, it cured all but 8 of those people's diseases, including cancer, AIDS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Like, it was this fucking magic cure-all pill. Then people started questioning that because, by God, that's a pretty bold claim.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that the study never happened at all. They just manufactured the entire fucking thing. The dude's a total crook and a liar. So I can't imagine Bill Belichick would want anybody dealing with this fucking guy.
I think Bill Belichick's kind of a straight shooter. And
Yeah,
calls him like he sees him kind of
Get
guy.
your fucking.
I don't think you exactly get to his level by
Yeah.
like just beating around
Yeah,
the bush.
yeah.
and-
Oh, you got plant powder that cures cancer? Yeah, bring it on in. Let all my guys try it out. Yeah. You want to stand on the sidelines too?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm on Team Belichick as far as that goes.
yeah, I think so too.
I've actually gotten one of my new favorite things is ever since I looked up the TB12 method when we did our extensive research for that episode, and ever since then I get I get sponsored ads on my Facebook and Instagram from the TB12
They
method.
hooked ya.
So whatever product it is, though, what I do is I then comment on it and I ask, is this the same mixed nut snacks that Tom Brady used to get his 9-inch biceps? Or is this the same?
Do you ever
is
get
this the
comments
same-
back on that?
No. I
Really?
don't even know if they're still there because it's an ad, so I don't know if I
Yeah.
can go back and look at
Yeah.
it. But I'm like, and then I've done it before where it's like, is this the same $70 protein powder that Tom Brady used to get his 7-second 40-yard dash time? Just basically clown on Tom Brady's lack of athleticism all around.
Yeah.
Is this the electrolyte drink that got Tom Brady his impressive 165-pound bench press?
There's probably Patriots fans out there that would just love.
I'd be willing to bet that people are just shitting on me if I could go back and read those
Yeah.
things. Fuck you,
How many Super Bowls have you
Tom
won?
Brady. Yeah.
Like, well, none, of course.
How
Like,
much can Tom Brady bench? I ain't here to win Super Bowls, bitch.
right.
Anyway, yeah, so fuck Tom Brady. I'm on
Again.
team fuck Tom Brady.
What do you
But,
guys think about shipping our things internationally? Do you guys know anything about shipping things internationally?
I've
Is it
heard it
complicated?
can take a while and be expensive.
There's been a growing demand for it.
Would you say the world is demanding it?
I mean, this week I think 2 or 3 people
Really?
want someone from Australia, several people from Canada have brought it up, and I don't know if
Aren't
it's maybe
those
quite a bit
countries
cheaper to
probably
ship to
pretty
Canada.
feasible to do?
Yeah,
they
and
have
then
like we're not
and
shipping
then-
to like fucking Uzbekistan.
Well, and then UK is the other. Those are the three places I've
Yeah.
gotten asked about. Australia.
I would love to see our stuff overseas.
But I'm like, I asked the one guy even. I think he was.
Do they buy shit from like Amazon
Well,
here?
I asked him. I said, "What do you pay for shipping usually? Like if it's something like that?" And he said, "I've only bought one shirt from the United States, and the shipping I think was €14, which is about $20." So I'm like, "Oh God,
wow, that's
I mean, it's their
dedication.
problem at that
Yeah,
point. But we
yeah.
just have to figure out how to calculate and do
yeah,
it. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so I've thought about looking into that. To
You
be
know,
able to
Matt from Pioneer started shipping internationally
Uh-huh.
recently, I think, so we can maybe see like what hoops he jumped through for that.
Yeah,
maybe.
I really do. I mean, I don't know. Like it,
My thing would be like, we just go to the post office and tell them it's going to.
and then like, all right,
They're like,
that'll
yeah,
be
well,
$30.
send
Send
Take it
this
there.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it
We
needs
just
to
would
be
have to
FedEx or
know- we just
USPS
would have to
then,
know-
or UPS.
right away so we don't eat our hat.
Yeah,
every time
right. Like sell it and then be like, oh, this cost us more than
Yeah.
what we collected in money from
We'll just send you a bill.
you. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that if we maybe ever figure that out
Yeah.
for all you international listeners. Guess what? Now I'm thinking about international listeners as well, but now thinking about United States of America listeners. Do you guys know which one and only one state in the United States does not listen to the Massenomics podcast?
Oh, there is one.
There is one.
Well,
First, what state do you think listens to the Massenomics podcast the most?
the most.
I know
Yeah.
the answer to this.
I have not looked at this data. I believe the most is going to be Ohio.
No,
I believe it is California.
it's California.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, heavy population, that kind of makes sense, and people
They're
that
not that heavy.
are fat asses over in California.
Listen, all you fat fucks.
All right, but what state? You're not gonna get it. I don't think you're gonna get it. I
How
mean,
many? Do we get 50 guesses?
All right, you get 25. I get 25.
like I just don't think the state will eat. Like maybe I'm wrong.
All
but I
right,
don't think
okay,
it's
now I
gonna
know.
go- Yeah.
I know it's a shitty state that no one remembers, like New Hampshire.
I was gonna say New Hampshire too.
Because nobody
That
fucking.
is so close. but
Connecticut,
not-
Vermont.
no,
Vermont.
I told you it's one of those
Yeah.
shitty states.
Yes,
that no-
yes, yes.
That's why I was
So
saying
sorry, if people
Because
listen
like the
from
get,
New Hampshire,
you would think
it's
maybe
not a shitty
Alaska
state.
or something like that, or I don't know. But
They don't have anything to do up there.
no, it's Vermont. Yeah. And then if you go to like Maine, has
a ton.
Like states right next to it will have a ton, and then Rhode Island even has like a good listening. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know if there's like Vermont's in a bubble. They're like, no one's getting our data from like, no one's gonna be able to know
Shut
what
down
we're
the
listening to.
podcast
Yeah.
receivers.
So I don't know. I mean, no one from Vermont's listening to this, so we
I
can
guess
say
They
whatever
must-
the hell
they
we
must-
want
they
about
must-
them.
They must listen to the actual
Like
radio.
Vermont people really suck.
Yeah,
They're the worst.
I bet you that people from Vermont buy the most TB12 products,
I bet they do.
hands down.
Yeah.
It's in the northeast area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bunch of Pats fans.
That threw me off though. I was like, oh, Vermont.
What about states with which we have shipped merchandise to?
Almost
we finally
every
checked
state by
Hawaii
this
off the
time.
list twice now.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 orders. in
Is
the last
Vermont
3
our
hours,
biggest
so
state
I,
for buying stuff though?
No. I do. I don't have all the statistics on that, but I could have that. But Alabama's a pretty big one.
Alabama is.
But
Okay, this was one of my favorite things on your post you had about benching 475. You said
Yeah.
in my
all the
Huge
stuff,
Life shirt
yeah.
with my lift hat on, with a lift banner behind me,
Yeah.
and Larry and his did Larry
Lift
have a
hat,
lift hat
yeah.
on? And Bacon and Beer Bell's comment was, "I have all of those things, and this hasn't happened to me yet."
But I called him out on the one thing he doesn't have.
He
but
doesn't
I forgot
have
to
Larry.
mention.
Doesn't
We
have
don't
a Larry legend.
And then he asked if we sell Larry's.
If we could sell Larry's, we would.
Oh,
be
we
very
could
rich.
run an incredible construction company.
But really, where we do ship probably a majority of our stuff is like the Midwest and like I'd call like the Eastern Midwest. Like there's a lot of Illinois,
Through Ohio.
yeah, Minnesota, Nebraska.
Those people get it.
All the
Yeah.
states where people are actually fucking strong.
Yeah. Well, they just understand our thick
Suck it-
dialect
suck
that
it
we
There's a
talk.
decent amount of Texas. California comes up quite a bit, I guess.
Yeah,
South Dakota, obviously. Like,
Who lives there?
if you didn't know where we were located from and you looked at our podcast listener numbers and our sales,
You would
and
be like,
everything,
there's nothing going on in
why-
South Dakota.
yeah, I was
is
like,
there?
why is South Dakota buying that stuff? I've never even. Has anyone been there? But yeah,
It was all cattle. Cattle and corn.
we are the South Dakota is the leading producer in honey.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's actually not very
Fascinating.
interesting.
I just assumed it'd be.
I'm fascinated how uninteresting that fact is. Right?
You know what's fascinating, Tanner? Is that
okay.
is not that fascinating.
Oh, feel better knowing that.
So that's a little Massenomics trivia.
Yep.
The more you know.
Any other news? Any reviews we got to get through before we wrap her up?
I wish I could say there was, but all I can say is that
Should
there
we
was not.
should we just randomly review a podcast we've never heard of before? We better not.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's got us about whoop for today. I'll be gone for the next week, so we might sneak one in while I'm on the road. Depends on
A little roadie.
who I grab, if you will. But
Just find like a homeless man.
homeless
Hey,
man-
you can go find your buddy from Ohio.
which one?
yeah.
Oh yeah, the guy with the butt hanging out, with his ass hanging out, and his weird eye that was leaking.
I just so badly wanted to be away from him.
Well, we'll recap that story next week.
Yeah.
A little teaser. Tanner, you're gonna have to remember that because I
Yeah.
won't. So that'll have us all wrapped up for today, guys. What do we got to get to? The website. Go to Massenomics.com. There you can go to the store, buy hats, shirts, banners. The banners are moving like hotcakes. If you know anyone from Vermont, send them some shit.
Yeah, let's get them on. Actually, make them listen too. Let's get them on the list.
Yeah, for sure. While you're there, check out our articles. Sean's most recent article on protein is just fucking tearing up the internet right now. So you better get it before somebody else does. We're running out. We're running out of articles.
It's a zero-sum game.
Yeah, listen. When it comes to articles on the internet, it is a race to get the last one. That's how the internet works.
Get
guys.
them before they're gone.
very. We put a limited quantity of views on our articles.
only so many downloads allowed on that
I
one.
feel like it's bad for business, but
Builds demand.
Try and stop us.
yeah. Listen, I
Simple
learned about
economics.
supply and demand
Yeah.
in 8th grade. Then make sure you go to youtube.com/Massenomics. Click the subscribe button on the page. Also, you should definitely click the get notifications thing. That way, you get a nice, friendly little alert that says, "Hey, the Massenomics
When
guys
some of
did a
those
thing."
straight fire memes coming at you.
Yeah, slanging memes.
Yep.
Then also make sure you like us on Facebook. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Email us at getbig@massenomics.com. No more dick pics. It's getting to be weird.
It was fun at first.
Yeah, it was funny at first. We were forwarding them.
It was actually extremely enjoyable at first, but
Quite pleasurable,
It's
really.
actually now it's starting to affect the way that I sleep. I don't eat food that well
Yeah,
anymore.
you can't eat hot dogs or popsicles anymore.
Yeah, or yeah, it's really unpleasant. So, no more dick pics in the email. But if you'd like to send us not wieners but money, that's where you do that as well. Lots of people have just been sending us money via email. It's a great way to, give money to people to do things. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Email me the money.
Yep, show me the money, not your D. But yeah, that'll have us all wrapped up for today, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. I'm Tyler. You can find me on motherfucker. Find me on Instagram at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFF I Stone. Tommy, don't fucking stutter.
Massenomics. You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
the Massenomics Instagram account at Massenomics.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears. You're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.